Welcome. This is my entry into the recently finished Phobos Hobby Challenge. I don't believe there is any real reason for you to watch me cut plastic, and most of it was actually done during one whiskey-fueled evening anyway, so here's the team. Now you might say, you don't fool me, those are just scouts who have been pillaging the bit box. That is certainly true, but in this video I will tell you what they are, who's in the team, how their colors came to be, why I based them on the scouts, and along the way I will throw in a quick word about Dinosaurism. But let's start with who they are. I'm no lore buff, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I've understood, they were first tactical marines and scouts, then came all the primary stuff, both in lore and in real life. A subject where I do have a keen interest is evolution, especially the quirkier bits like convergent evolution, dead ends and interims. And this is where these guys come in. Apparently, along the way, there was a growing need of something stealthier than a tactical marine, but tougher than a scout. And at some point, someone was saying, let's prep up some guys to meet this gap we have. And some other dude said, I'll see what I can do, and went down the spare part bits of the armory and did some tinkering. And this is what he came up with. Comms. He is an infiltrator and thus based on the sniper scout to fit the concept of someone stealthy. It was a bit tricky to fit a bolter onto these, but otherwise it's just a regular scout with some add-on armor, an antenna and a wrist-based comms device. In real life, I hope that within the next 38,000 years they will come up with a better thing than half a brick on your wrist, but I think it's also half the charm of 40k. I really wanted a longer antenna, but it would just be pure waste. As soon as my kids get a hold of them, any protruding bits will without question break sooner or later. And thus, all I got was these horn looking things. Voxbreaker. The rules of this guy made me believe that he's someone you want to keep hidden, so he got the kneeling legs. I have no real idea what a Voxbreaker does, but apparently it's something quite annoying, so it should be something rather big. Hence the large tube thing on his back. He wasn't too hard to do, as it's just a few bits glued onto his back. Once again, the trickiest thing was to replace the sniper rifle with a bolter. Then you might ask yourself, if the trickiest thing is to convert the base model, why didn't I just buy some regular infiltrators and build their special equipment? Just looking at the miniatures side by side, you can clearly see that in any reasonable metric, the modern miniature is just a better sculpt. Well, the simple answer is that it's because I'm a dinosaur. You see, not all people play competitive, live the lore, or play the latest and greatest. A huge part of the reason I play Kill Team is to get a sort of nostalgic vibe from the good old days when the scouts were actually cool. And this challenge was the perfect reason to finally buy some scouts. Another major reason is to kitbash. So let's get back to that. Helix. Here's another dude with a misaligned bolter and a rather unclear device. He carries a sizable bag of band-aids and this device that somehow restores lost wounds. Don't ask me how. You might have noticed that they all carry third-party backpacks. That's because if you want to be a proper marine, you need a backpack, and I had no spare ones laying around. As scouts don't carry these, there is no mounting for them, but I just glue them on there, never minding the question of how they can go on outside the capes. It's not the greatest glitch in 40k, and no one will ever notice anyway. Reiver Sergeant. I know there might not be a reason to bring a Reiver at all, but I just felt that I wanted at least one of each kind of operative available. and even if he borrowed some tactical pants and got a skull in his face, he was the easiest to build, as there are arms in the box ready to go on. Anyway, now I have one and I'm quite happy how it turned out. Here you can clearly see the splinter camouflage on the shoulder pad, and I can take a moment to tell you about the color scheme. It felt very fitting because of many reasons. First, they are sneaky. Even though the usefulness of camouflage pattern down on uniform level can be questioned, no one can deny the mental connection between camouflage and sneakiness. 2. It's a dinosaur thing. This harkens back to the last color scheme I painted prior to my 20 plus years of absence. It's based on the Swedish M90 camouflage, and I remember that I was quite proud of how I found a reasonably easy way to create a pattern that retains the look and feel of the original. 3. Time. Time was ticking and this was a color scheme ready to go. The color scheme is something that usually takes me, a month or two to decide, and this time I certainly did not have that time. 4. The color green. Lately I've had sort of an obsession, and these guys are all painted using only the primaries, blue, yellow and magenta, together with pure black and white of course. Doing this, some colors have so far been more successful than others, and green seems to be the easiest one. But more on that in a separate video. I promise, it will not be yet another color theory video. Once again, back to the bashing. Minelayer. This is the first incursor of the team, and hence here we get into some proper Proto stuff. He has borrowed an AdMech helmet to get some fancy aiming assistance, the ones they will later be known for, as they're supposed to be in sort of close range. They also get a full tactical shoulder pad. He also comes with 2 mines and an easy to press by mistake detonation button. This guy kind of doubles up, because as they all are pretty proto, I feel that I can use them as either of the explosive guys with good conscience. Marksman. This is probably the unit I feel most proud of. As a proto incursor, he has borrowed a AdMech helmet and a tactical shoulder pad. But most obvious is of course the sniper rifle. I've seen other people adding a proper primaries sniper, which in my view is wrong, but after describing why, I will also describe how he helped me point out why I think the standard Phobos team feels so dull. While I don't believe there is a universal definition of the term sniper, in my world, a sniper is a well-hidden long-range specialist, and it's not meant to engage at any sort of kill team range. And if it did, his equipment would probably obstruct him rather than help his aiming. Especially when it comes to taking snapshots. In that way, I think that the official specialist, with his little CCT camera up top, is a much better fit. But where the sniper mini really shines is at tabletop range. They might tell you that the Marksman rifle is way more accurate than a regular bolter, but at tabletop distance, you can't tell the difference. And with that said, I can clearly see why people want to put a proper sniper in there. And that's also why I kept the sniper rifle on this guy. Although I actually shortened the barrel a bit, and also the scope, to keep it, visually distinct, but at the same time make it more of a gadgeter thing, accompanying the helmet rather than something you actually look through. And of course I made it magazine fed instead of this little power cord thing, which was pretty tricky, but it turned out nice. So what was the insight there? Well, it was that You know, if everyone carries a bolter and a gadget, the whole team looks kind of the same. Just compared to the last two Chaos teams, where all kinds of things are going on. Spot the Organ. It's quite easy. He's right there. You know, simply put, I just want them to be a bit more visually distinct. That's all. You might have noticed that they all carry something rather camouflage breaking white. And that is fully intentional. The thought is that because these guys are far from the standard models, they all carry something distinctly white that help you tell which guy you're looking at. The silencer on the Marksman, the band-aid bag on the medic, the antenna on the comms. You get the point. I have no idea if it actually works, but, well, at least this is the idea. As stated earlier, these are a part of the Make Phobos Interesting hobby challenge. And it's been very fun, but time sort of collided with holiday season, and it's clearly visible throughout the team. That the colors are a bit lacking is not down to the 5 paint thing, but rather a pragmatic approach where I sort of dropped the veteran operative, put base colors on the minimum 6, and then added shades and highlights until time was out. Here you can see the unfinished veteran. He has a tactical breastplate with some add-on armor, and the remains of a failed green stuff helmet salvaged into a beret. Part of that failure is down to the fact that most of the actual build happened during one frenzy evening, using a bottle of wine supported by a few whiskeys as liquid inspiration. After priming, I even found a few mold lines, but as a part of the challenge, I'm quite, fine with that. I will probably paint up the veteran and add an edge highlight or two, but in general, I'm quite fine with a tabletop ready team. As I picked up this challenge, I was pretty certain that as I have quite limited time to play with these, I would actually give the team away at the end of this video. But along the way, I've grown quite fond of these, and I will certainly not give these band of subpar hobos away. As of always, thank you for watching, and don't forget to enjoy your hobby.